On the screen now, I have the power generation system and the power distribution system in quite detail, but then we really want to focus here on four buses in particular, well, five buses in particular: the left DC bus, the right DC bus, and then the captain's instrument bus, the first officer's instrument bus, and the hot battery bus. Okay, in normal operation, as we're looking at here, when things are working normally, power from alternating current comes through and powers the left captain's instrument bus and the right first officer instrument bus redundantly. Isolated, nothing connects them together because they are kept isolated when all power is flowing normally. We also have the captain's bus with a very important responsibility, and that is charging and accepting power from the main battery hot bus. So it's charging the battery through a dedicated battery charger, which sends lithium battery safe charging currents through the battery diode module in to charge the lithium battery. The lithium battery is then able to supply loads in an event of power outage via the diode module through the diode itself, which is effectively like a one-way electricity valve. Now, if this is all working correctly, that means that if there was a short circuit in the battery, current wouldn't be able to get to that short circuit because it would be blocked by the diode. But what if the diode has failed and is able to receive current in any direction? Two things will happen. It will hurt the battery because the battery is only meant to be charged from the battery charger. It'll hurt the battery, and it'll also let, when that battery is destroyed, it'll let that problem, if it's a short circuit, it'll let that short circuit be exposed to the buses that it is powering. In short, that means this diode is so incredibly critical, it's able to bring down the captain bus. Now, if something were to go wrong with the battery, there is some built-in checks from the battery charger. Here, if we zoom in and look at what that is, the battery charger is designed to send a signal to the bus power control unit, which is like the brains of the electrical system, if it sees a battery fault. If that battery fault condition of the fault continues for 15 seconds, only after the 15 seconds has lapsed, only then does it send the command to trip the main battery relay and open it up, isolating the battery so that the fault is isolated. That gives us 15 seconds of potential short circuit to bring down the captain's instrument bus, meaning that anything powered by the captain's instrument bus is unpowered the moment there's a fault, and it will remain that way for 15 seconds. Now let's just scroll forward in time and look at what happens when that fault condition exists at any time during that 15 seconds. I've extracted just the DC part. The fault has started on the left. Current is clamped through the battery, the failed diode. Current cannot flow to any of the loads that the captain's instrument bus provides power to because it is shorted and just taking the path of least resistance to ground or to the current return network, which is actually backwards through the failed diode, through the battery to the current return network. Anything that tries to come from the transformer rectifier units into the bus goes straight into the ground, not to the equipment. Now, another thing happens. When that happens, when this comes down, the bus power control unit tries to bring it back by connecting the bus tie contactors. And in the documentation from the manufacturer of this system themselves, that will happen even if the main battery fault or main battery discharge condition exists. Okay? It'll close the instrument bus ties, right? It'll keep the main battery relay closed. Okay, it'll close the captain's instrument bus tie and the first officer instrument bus tie contactors in order to try and bring it back. But inadvertently, what that's doing here, without them really having thought the logic through, is it is effectively sending the short circuit from the battery up through here, killing the captain's bus, and then clamping the first officers, bring it down too, after these tie breakers connect. And guess how long that took? Do we know about the 1 second delay between the left and right turning off? There you go. So now, when these loads suffer from the captain's bus and the first officer bus, one of the loads is a small electrical 28-volt signal which passes on its way to the fuel control switch to ground passes through a little optocoupler in a thing called a remote data concentrator, which senses the status of this electrical current. If the switch is run, current is on. If switch is off, current is off. And there's another optocoupler for the other part, the cutoff side. That's not relevant at this moment. Okay, you need to understand that this sees the lack of current flowing through this to the ground because the source has died up here. The captain's bus has died. This sensor remains online because its logic board is also powered by these outer DC buses, which are completely redundant. Sorry, not redundant, completely independent of the failed bus. So therefore, these sensors their logic boards remain online, and they are able to say, hey, remote data concentrator here, flight data recorder and common core system, fuel switches are no longer on. They're no longer running. Something's wrong. And that made its way to you in the preliminary report. Now, this does not talk, I am not talking about the cause of the flame out here. Sorry, the cutoff. I am talking about the cause of why we saw the indication of cutoff. Please try to understand this.